California Governor Gavin Newsom is in fact on a high-profile two-day tour of South Carolina, a visit that's raising a number of eyebrows and is also fueling speculation about his national ambitions. While officially framed as a push to energize the Democrat voters ahead of next year's midterm elections, the visit carries all the hallmarks of an early presidential play. Now, during his visit, Gavin Newsom spent crisscrossing small towns in northeastern South Carolina, engaging with the voters in coffee shops, small businesses and town squares. His message was very direct: stand up to Donald Trump and the GOP and use your moral authority to shape the future.
We cannot allow him to win. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. You have agency. You can shape the future. And that future begins by putting this man back in a position, not just a moral authority, but back into that position of formal authority as chair of critical committees. That starts by taking back this country in 16 plus months by making the next speaker, the Speaker Jeffries from the great state of New York, and taking back the House of Representatives, which will effectively end the Trump's presidency.
But the choice of South Carolina that speaks volumes. The state is known for its early influence in the Democrat presidential primary calendar, and it was pivotal to President Biden's 2020 comeback. It also remains critical in any paths to the White House, especially amongst the party's diverse and deeply loyal black voter base. Now, Gavin Newsom's visit to rural and traditional upstate regions seems to be a part of a broader effort. Now, the upstate region is the area which is dominated by Donald Trump, and Newsom is trying pretty hard to introduce himself as more centrist and appeal to the nationally diverse audience. In a bid to appeal to the broader American voters ahead of 2028, Gavin Newsom has increasingly leaned into more moderate talking points. He's spoken with Trump allies on his podcast, expressing support for restrictions on transgender athletes in women's sports, and has described efforts to defund police brutality. While he's not formally declared any intention to run for the president, this tour and also his political journey so far strongly indicate that Gavin Newsom is probably laying the groundwork for a future national campaign. The battle for the White House may still be years away, but for Gavin Newsom, the journey may have already begun.
The fire is stubborn. It really jumped.
All right, my colleague Susan Tehrani is still with us from New York. Gavin Newsom is creating a lot of waves, but is this the beginning of a possible presidential run in 2028, or is it simply too early to be talking of these things? Susan, if you could hear me.
Sorry, I lost you for a second there, Mohammed.
Right. So my question was this. Gavin Newsom has been making a lot of waves. He is visiting South Carolina. Is it too early to be talking of any kind of a presidential bid in 2025?
Yeah, that's a really valid point. And it really is at this point, just because usually these kind of trips and these kind of visibility events happen after the midterm elections, which is next year. But nonetheless, you can't really underestimate not just the fact that he went to South Carolina. As you mentioned, he was alongside Jim Clyburn. He's a representative from South Carolina, very influential, sort of like a Democratic kingmaker, if you may. He was very influential in getting Joe Biden elected in 2020. So when they sort of stand next to each other at different events, then that does raise the speculation. It also comes at a time when the Democratic Party is really leaderless right now. They don't really have someone to rise to the occasion. So Newsom not only perhaps is setting himself separate from the pack that will probably start talking about the election in 2026 after the midterms, but also he might see this leader vacuum and try to fill that up as well. As you mentioned, his challenge is really to appeal to more moderate voters, middle America. He's a so-called quote unquote San Francisco liberal that sort of is used against him in many ways. So if he can move away from that image, which it appears he's trying to do, then he may be more appealing to more people, and maybe he will become the face of the Democrat Party.
Interesting. That's something we'll watch out for. Thank you very much, Susan Tehrani, for joining us and getting us all those updates there.